One day away from the Salukis heading to West Lafayette, Indiana to take on the Purdue Boilermakers as SIU will try to go for their third win against the Big Ten, as they are still the last FCS team to beat a team from the Power Four. With the coach Pat Poore alongside Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin as we preview this Purdue Boilermakers squad. And Coach Barry Odom takes over, Mike, and man, it was a solid week one performance for Purdue, 31-0. They shut out Ball State. Coach Odom is known as a defensive guy, and man, they played a clean football game in week one at Ross-Ade.
Yeah, they threw the shutout. They held Ball State to not being able to drive the ball very well at all, forced a lot of punts, and just took care of business on offense. They got those two quick touchdowns and had Ball State on their heels from the get-go, and it was just a nice opening game for Coach Odom, the Boilermakers, who have pretty high hopes, even though it's a brand new team.
Coach Poore, Purdue's always been known to have really good quarterbacks. They've been known as the cradle of quarterbacks at Purdue. Ryan Brown, only Big Ten starting quarterback to throw for over 300 yards in week one.
Yeah, and he came out and did what he had to do, had a solid first game. And, you know, alluding back to talking about Coach Odom, that's kind of who he's become. He's become that guy, that guru that can assemble a roster, flip a program around, and, you know, the first thing they got to do is, when you take over a program, is fix the defense. You know, you look back statistically over the last couple of years, but offensively, again, you know, good roster, got talent, and the quarterback, like I said, always being the key guy, seemed like he had, operated efficiently and didn't turn the ball over and made some throws for sure.
Devin Mockobee, he was on the Purdue team when they went to the Big Ten title game to play Michigan. He was also, of course, on the team last year when they finished last in the Big Ten Conference, Mike. He's been through it all there, stayed there, getting his engineering degree, and man, he is a really talented running back for this Purdue offense.
He is, and it had to be a tough decision for Devin because he probably could have gone somewhere and made some decent money, maybe making some really decent money at Purdue too, but the mechanical engineering degree was so important to him, and getting an engineering degree from a university like Purdue, known for its program, will pay off long time down the road for Mockobee, and that's what he wanted to do. But back to his skills as a tailback, he is really good, carried the ball 14 times, had 50-some-odd yards against Ball State on Saturday, but he's not a guy that you can overlook because he's probably the guy who's going to get the bulk of the carries against the Dogs Saturday. Tackling has to be a key for Southern. Mockobee can break tackles. He can go the distance. He's just one of those really, really solid tailbacks.
This Purdue offense, before we switch it to their defense, Coach Poore, I believe 9 different receivers caught a pass against Ball State. Armand Branch had an outstanding day. It is a talent-filled room, and it looks like Ryan Brown is starting to develop some key connections there at wideout.
Yeah, you look at where those guys came from, you know, some SEC background, some Georgia guys, Kentucky, and so you know they're talented. And like you said, you could see that connection right away and the confidence. The very first touchdown, Brown probably throws a ball that most quarterbacks wouldn't throw, and you know, they make the catch, and he breaks a couple tackles, and it's an explosive play for the first touchdown of the year for a new program.
Let's flip it over to this Purdue defense, and it's a Boilermaker defense that Coach Odom, a defensive guy, that's what he's known for. His biggest thing that they talked about after week one, they wanted to see more turnovers forced, even though they didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah, and I mean, as a defense, that's what you want to do, create opportunities for the offense. So maybe taking a gamble here or there to try to make that happen, but they were still solid. Ball State just never really got close to scoring in the ball game, and the linebacker crew for Purdue was most impressive from my standpoint watching the game, and the edge rushers helped that along. They didn't make a lot of tackles, but they kept Ball State from getting to the outside and kept everything in the middle for those linebackers to be able to clean up.
Coach Poore, for you, what stood out defensively? Coach Odom did say in his multiple interviews this week, they kept it pretty bland in terms of week one. How did they execute it?
Well, they're a 3-5-3 defense, and so those 5 linebackers are we call them kind of hybrids, and you'll see those guys playing in a lot of different spots. And like you said, they didn't have to use a lot of the pressure package, but Barry's package has always been about putting pressure on the offense with different looks, and they run a lot of what we call zone dogs, field zone, where they'll overload a side and then somebody will drop out into coverage. So, from DJ's offensively point of view, they're going to have to see things, read things well, and know where to go with the ball and what's the weakness of whatever defensive call they have on.
Purdue is 14-0 against FCS competition. How do the Dogs make them 14-1, Mike?
Have to take care of the football for sure, and that's always a key in these games where you're allegedly stepping up a level, but not giving Purdue opportunities in key situations to take advantage of a turnover. Southern's got to be able to move the football, drive the field, and we talked about it, Pat and I did, explosive plays for the Salukis are a key. You have to have more explosive plays than your opposition. Southern has the capability of doing that, and the more they can do that, the better their opportunities are to give themselves chances to win that game.
And Pat, you talked about it at length throughout this week. Southern has historically been in these games. They've been competitive. And no doubt they've won them. 6 FBS wins in program history. 5 of them have come with Coach Hill either as a player or now as the head coach. But another big piece is finishing these games. How do the Dogs, one, get them in the game and then ultimately try to finish one off at Purdue?
Well, I think, one, defensively, you've got to create those opportunities for the offense. And then offensively, you have to come out and just play well and execute and not get caught up in the big picture, but just play to play to play and get a rhythm going. And I talked about some momentum. You have to hit some plays, and then you got to capitalize on those. And you can't ever take your foot off the gas in these type of games, because you're really just trying to get yourself in a position in the fourth quarter that you can win one late and do something that not a lot of people expect you to do.
And there will not be a lot of expectations on SIU going to Purdue. As we mentioned, Purdue has never lost to an FCS team. They've only had one of those 14 games decided by one possession. So Purdue's been dominant in their FCS history. We'll see if that continues tomorrow night at Ross-Ade Stadium. It should be a great crowd and a great environment. We hope you join us on the Saluki Radio Network. We will begin our pregame radio coverage at 5:30 Central with kickoff at 6:30. For the Coach Pat Poore, for Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin saying so long, Saluki Nation. We will talk to you tomorrow night from Ross-Ade Stadium. Go Dogs!